Today, we'll walk through Pamela's entire romantic history, from her wild early flings to fresh rumors about Liam Neeson, and try to figure out who broke her life more, them or Pamela herself. Jon Peters. In the late 80s, Pamela was just taking her first steps in Hollywood. He was Jon Peters, producer of Batman and a man who knew everyone that mattered in the film industry. It started with business meetings and quickly turned romantic. Peters was older, more experienced, and clearly saw in Pamela not just beauty, but a potential project. He opened doors for her, but seemed to expect her full emotional devotion in return. 30 years later, in January 2020, they suddenly married. Headlines screamed, "Pamela's a bride again." But just 12 days later, it was over. She called it a joke, a mistake they both realized. In her life, though, jokes like this often cost her both reputation and peace of mind. Scott Baio. With Scott Baio, it looked like a fairy tale. The young star of Charles in Charge and a rising Baywatch blonde. 2 engagements in 3 years, but no wedding. Scott once said, "With Pamela, every day feels like a movie premiere. Bright, loud, and a little chaotic." But that chaos burned the relationship from the inside. The paparazzi caught them on romantic getaways and screaming in parking lots. Pamela learned that even when things look calm, they can still collapse. 1993-1994, Bret Michaels. A rock star, motorcycles, sleepless nights, and her first real public scandal. In 1994, an intimate tape of them leaked to the press. For Pamela's career, it was a blow. Producers and brands began to turn away. She later admitted it was the first time she realized how quickly her men could turn from heroes into sources of pain. Bret would say they loved too hard, but that love turned destructive. 1995, Kelly Slater. On the set of Baywatch, she met Kelly Slater, a quiet, calm surfing champion. He was her island of peace, cooking her breakfast, teaching her to surf, steering her away from loud parties. But Pamela was used to storms. A peaceful harbor felt like a trap. Their romance stretched on and off until 2000, ending as quietly as it began. 1995 to 1998, Tommy Lee. And then, storm number 1. They met at a party and married 96 hours later. Tommy was Motley Crue's drummer, rock and roll in its purest form. Their marriage was a mix of passion, jealousy, public fights, and tender moments. They screamed at each other, threw phones at walls, and walked red carpets arm in arm the next day. The leaked home video became a catastrophe. Lawsuits, internet scandals, endless interviews. It was emotional hell, but also a magnet that pulled her back to Tommy long after their 1998 divorce. He gave her 2 sons, but took a piece of her peace of mind she never got back. 2000 to 2001, Marcus Schenkenberg. After rock and roll, a supermodel. Tall, flawless, romantic. They looked like a glossy magazine cover, but off camera, she was still healing from Tommy, and he wasn't ready for her baggage. They parted quietly, with the feeling of a missed chance. 2001 to 2003, Kid Rock. Flirting, breakups, reunions, and in 2006, a yacht wedding in shorts and baseball caps. It seemed like the perfect small-town American romance. But 4 months later, the war began. Verbal, legal, emotional. Kid Rock said Pamela loved attention too much. She accused him of control and anger. 2003 to 2006, Matt Eriesson. Compared to her other romances, this was a quiet pause. Matt was far from show business, but even he couldn't handle the cameras and her turbulent nature. Pamela later called those years a period of emotional stagnation. No storms, but no real joy either. 2007 and 2014, Rick Salomon. The Boomerang Man. Married in 2007, annulled in 2 months. Married again in 2014, ended in court again. Their fights and makeups were so explosive, the press called them Hollywood's most unpredictable duo. For Pamela, another reminder that attraction and destruction often walk hand in hand. 2012 to 2015, Julian Assange. Rumors, hints, photos from the Ecuadorian embassy. She visited him, brought home-cooked meals, and they talked for hours about politics and art. Pamela denied romance, but admitted their bond was intellectually intimate. Maybe the first time a man didn't wreck her life directly, but he couldn't save her either. 2017-2019. Adil Rami. In 2017, Pamela fell again. This time for French soccer player Adil Rami, 18 years her junior. They met in Monaco after the Formula One Grand Prix. He was tall, with a dazzling smile and those eyes that promised life would never be boring. She was iconic. Champagne-colored dress, that walk that makes cameras lose control. She moved to Marseille, where he played for the local team. French media called them the most beautiful couple on the Riviera. Instagram showed breakfasts on the terrace, seaside kisses, and inside jokes. It felt like a fairy tale, where, finally, she wasn't the center of a scandal, just a loved woman. But in 2019, the fairy tale turned dark. Pamela accused Rami of leading a double life, seeing another woman at the same time. She spoke of betrayal that breaks your bones and emotional abuse. She admitted, "I thought I'd grown, that I'd learned how to choose." But he proved, "I still fall for men who can hurt me." The breakup exploded in the press. Some saw her as a victim, others as too trusting. Once again, she was the heroine of an old story, giving everything and getting heartbreak in return. 2020 to 2022, Dan Hayhurst. Her bodyguard during lockdown, a love in four walls story. They married quickly, but once the world reopened, they realized they had little in common. The divorce left another scratch on her heart. 2024, Liam Neeson. Then came the surprise of 2024, Liam Neeson. They met at a charity dinner. Dim lights, soft jazz, polite chatter, and within minutes, they seemed alone in their own little universe. Liam was reserved, with a quiet sadness in his eyes. Pamela, open, almost homely, without her usual stormy glamour. He wrote to her about theater, about how morning sunlight falls on trees, what she called a sip of silence after endless noise. People noticed she laughed differently with him, softly, without her usual guard. Paparazzi caught them walking by the water, he slightly ahead like a calm guide, she following, trust in her step. Fans were divided. Some believe this could be her long-awaited lifeline. Others say, calm is only the pause before the storm, and storms are Pamela's natural state. And that's the full chronicle. Every man, every romance, every story. The same movie with the same ending. Pamela always chose men who promised excitement, but brought pain. And maybe that very drama is what made her the Pamela we know.
Do you think she has a chance at love without destruction? Tell us in the comments. Let's see whose prediction comes true.